Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim.
Well,
Maliki
bring up the
Yawmiddin.
one watching now. Started streaming. Okay, there we go. Brother Fleming, started the live stream. Okay. Brother Fleming, do you want to open us up?
Yes, okay, thank you very much. MAP5, July 14th, 2025. We always start thanking Allah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin.
One watching now. Started streaming. Okay.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. With the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, all praise is due to Allah and Allah alone, most gracious, most merciful Master of all the systems of knowledge. Thee do we serve and thine aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, and let those who go astray not lose thy favor. Amen. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين
I think someone has the YouTube playing. You gotta turn it off because we can hear it in the background.
Which is most merciful. All praises due to Allah and Allah alone. Most gracious, most merciful Master of all the systems of knowledge. Thee do we serve and thine aid we seek.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. As Brother Fleming said, July 14th, 2025. Sister Cheryl, Honorable Cheryl Sudduth.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Hi, Brother Ishmael, Joey, Brother Fleming, Sister Amatullah. And I am, even though you see me twice, I only have one. It might be my split personality, but it's only one of me. I am Cheryl Sudduth. And it's early on Monday morning, so I think I'm still honorable. We'll see. We'll see how that goes by 3 o'clock this afternoon. With everybody coming in and out of my office. Good morning, good morning, good morning. There's been a lot going on. It's these months, July is Disability Pride Month, and in another week or so we will celebrate the 35th anniversary of the ADA. I'm gonna come back to that. I just wanted to put it out there first. This is also mental health. Last month was Black Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and this month is they call it Minority Mental Health Month. I don't like the word minority, but this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to start off today with a question, as we usually do, but I'm going to switch it up as I usually do. So considering everything that's happening in the world and maybe your world, tell us what has you jumping for joy, makes your heart sing. Everything is going great. And what has you reaching for a straitjacket? Need some therapy. You're going to fire your therapist because it's not working. Who started? I think Brother Femi, you started last time, right? You're on mute, brother.
I think Sister Amatullah started last time. I'll pass it on to her. By all means, sisters first.
You're such a gentleman. Jumping for joy is the presence of what Imam Muhammad called mother leadership in the world. as exemplified by I'll give her the title of Honorable Francesca Albanese, the Special Rapporteur to Gaza. And that sister is a warrior. She is a warrior. She's not afraid of the little big boys club. She's not afraid of the European government, the USA, Israel, or Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, who had the nerve to sanction her while a war criminal was visiting the White House and the United States in the person of Benjamin Netanyahu. Rather than arresting him, he sanctions her. And the reason why, because her latest report to the UN, last week I talked about connecting the dots. Well, the sister connected dots, dots, economic dots to show how European, American corporate entities are benefiting from what she calls the economic genocide that is going on in Gaza. So she stirred up the pot. And I was very happy. I looked at a couple of videos. If I had my tech skills sharpened this morning, I might show a few clips, but maybe I'll do that in the future. But she's not backing down. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah for brave people like her standing up and calling those who have the power and the authority and the means to stop the slaughter, the genocide, the ethnic cleansing that's going on in Gaza, to bring it to a halt right away. But they refuse to do it. Instead, you have minions like I'm gonna develop a better Islamic character and not do name calling. You have ill-informed, immoral leadership, as in our current Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who chooses to be a loyalist rather than to be a man of principle. So I'm very happy about that. Straight jacket. You know, I don't have a therapist, but I do have dua. Do have dua, and my one of the favorites that I have is, "Oh Allah, I seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief, lack of strength and laziness, cowardice and niggardliness or stinginess, and being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men." So that is, if you want to term it a therapist, that is my therapist. And I'm not going to fire it because it helps so many times. And in this day and time, whew, do we need it. So that's it. Sorry I took so long. I took a Fleming 30 seconds.
Put it on your brother, put it on your brother. All right. Assalamu alaikum. In terms of what has me, my spirits uplifted, I'm literally about 20 minutes from a rally this morning down here in Gastonia, North Carolina. It was called Moral Monday in Gastonia. Why Gastonia, North Carolina? That's the office home of Congressman Tim Moore, who just recently got elected to the congressman position, of course, representing his district. And we delivered to him a letter about our concerns with this 10-year beastly bullet that they call a budget for 10 years and its impact on those who need everything from food assistance to health care, assistance with education, et cetera, the whole list of things. We had 13 specific things that were impacted, and there were about 200 of us there. And they asked me to say a few words of encouragement from our scripture on what we should be doing in terms of working together across faiths to make a difference and assisting people for the next 10 years. And I don't think a lot of people understand that 900-page document can affect your lives for the next 10 years. So we got to be conscious of that and be working with a strategy to develop a plan on how we're going to exactly deal with that matter. It's very serious. We had about 217,000 people in North Carolina uh, who will be impacted in that one county in Medicare alone. That's not to mention educational opportunities. Most of the chapters in the educational program have been almost defunded or eliminated. And a lot of people don't realize that impact, I don't think, until it hits them in the front door. And there's a whole gamut of things. I'm going through the document now because they want me to make a presentation next week on how it affects North Carolina specifically. So I was encouraged. We had about 200 people there, intergenerational, interfaith. We, of course, had a little rally in front of the house and walked to his office and delivered our letters and had a prayer, of course, in his office. His receptions were very, very professional. To get information, we asked for a meeting with him, of course, and that's scheduled for the people in Gastonia to take place on Thursday this week to hear our concerns about why he voted for this budget and versus what's happening in Gastonia, which is basically a textile county. For those that don't know, textile is still a major industry in the state of North Carolina, making clothing related products. So that lifted my spirits quite a bit. And they asked me to close out the whole event after I made my comments with a prayer in Arabic. And so I did that by the grace of Allah. So that's encouraging to see people still working together with a common cause, with respect for each other. And we even had some little children with us as well this morning. Very encouraging. Hot, but encouraging. What has been really piercing my mental health is to watch over and over again children trying to get water and being bombed and killed with no consciousness. And I guess, I'm just not of that school to understand the callousness of someone who could do something like that and call yourself human. Um, and so that really has been in my heart quite a bit lately. It's not just there. We had a young person yesterday to walk into a church right outside of Lexington, North Carolina, killed a young lady who was the wife of the minister of the church and killed a child right beside her, shot them in the church, and then came outside, of course, and shot at an officer. And of course, the officers took him down, so he lost his life in the process. But just an idea, he was stopped at a traffic light. He, of course, got out, ran, jumped into someone else's car, ran straight to the church, went in the church for a shooting, and immediately shot the wife of the minister of the church and a young girl sitting right beside her and injured one other person. So that mindset to me of just, I'm going to say, just brutal violence against innocent people is also right in our front yard. So we better take some kind of position to address that issue as well. It's just happening too often, and we don't want to become null and void in our reaction to that. That should be addressed by those who call themselves any kind of leader, community-wise, uh, flower club-wise, neighborhood-wise, council-wise, city-wise, whatever you identify with as a social order that you have some kind of voice in, say something about this insane violence in our country, while we also, have our concerns about what's happening overseas as well, inshallah. I've used up my 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure I'm holding on to my record. And I'm going to apologize for this because I'm really in my car trying to get back to Winston-Salem, but I pulled off here at Burger King so I can be quiet and stay tuned to MAP5. That's
Thank you,
me.
sir.
That's it. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, I am gonna see if Miss Joey or Brother Ishmael have anything to add before I say something. How you doing, Miss Joey, Brother Ishmael? Go ahead. Came out for one of you. Go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead. Assalamualaikum.
No, not really. Just getting ready to. I guess you say is one and the same. My daughter's getting ready to venture off into college, U of H. So
Alhamdulillah.
she's she's at that point. So it's both. I'm joyous and kind of uh,
Nervous.
nervous. She she met her room where she I said, she said she talked to her roommate. And I said, you talked to her? She said, no, well, they text and email, so they call that talking now, So I got to get with the lingo. Like, well, you really didn't talk. And by her situation that she's in, her roommate is going to be a grad student. And
Oh,
she's like, Daddy, does that mean? He's like, what does grad student mean? I mean, they mean, I said, well, it means they already graduated. So she said, does that mean I'm an undergrad? I said, yeah. I said, but you're pure mature. She said, Daddy, what? I'm not mature. I said, all right, well, we'll see. So she's navigating because she's emailing her and I said, well, Jayla, you can ask me, but nowadays just put in what she's asking you and chat GPT to get an understanding, and then you can address it. So just giving her pointers how to you because she was the graduate student asking about common areas. Okay, what you gonna bring for the common area? We both sharing this, and she was like, Daddy, I don't know what she's talking about. I say just copy and paste it, put it in chat GPT, see how you can respond, and then come to me to make adjustment. I say you can do that for almost anything nowadays. Just don't verbatim do it. So that's what I'm dealing with, just helping her navigate it. And I think she'll be fine. And she said, well, of course, she wanted to wait till her friends graduated. So that's why she waited till this year to go to school. She said, well, I guess we'll use her as a mother figure. I said, well, you gotta see who she is first. You can't just assume she's gonna be okay. So just trying to help her navigate. And I think she'll be fine. We went to Houston this past weekend, so she could really meet some of her. She has an aunt and cousins there from a mom's side. So inshallah, they've told her, hey, whatever you need, look at. But she's so much like me. She say, Daddy, we went there, me and her, we both doing our own thing. They having a party, 75th birthday for her great aunt, and me and her were just like doing our own thing. 'Cause we're not really into the party and stuff. And her mom and wife, they weren't too happy. She wasn't too happy about it, but I was like, you know how we are. So we were cordial, but and I said, Jayla, you really need to meet them because they're a lot closer to you than they're gonna be a lot closer to you than I am. She said, well, Dad, I'm gonna meet them. I just, this wasn't her word. She just wants to meet them organically, and then she said, I'll come around, and then, so just navigating through that. So everyone pray for me. Assalamu alaikum.
Will do. Is there an MSA there?
Say it one more time.
Is there an MSA, Muslim Student Association, on campus?
Yes, for sure. So she most definitely be looking into that and joining. Inshallah.
I can just tell you, and then Miss Joey, I'd like you to weigh in. I can just tell you, Brother Ishmael, I went through this with my daughter because she was so young there, and they gave her, I think she was like 16, and the first roommate was 28, and I said, not happening. Try again.
Right.
Try again. And because she was concerned, she was like, I don't want to be in the room with no grown woman.
Right.
So she was like, and it was like those suites. So, if you're gonna have overnight guests, you gotta ask the roommate and whatever. My daughter's like, I'm not getting in the middle of that. And so we went back and she ended up with some other teenagers. I mean, they were 19, 20, but
Right.
I felt much better about, her being with girls there, 19, 20, because
Yeah.
she was used to being with that group. But once you in that mid-20s, no, mm-mm,
I understand. I
not for a
understand.
young one. And the lady understood because I said, that's a lady. She might as well
Yep.
come live with me.
Right.
There ain't no young girl. But they get it, and she might be a different person by
You're
January.
right.
Just FYI,
Yeah.
she might be a different person by January. So, Daddy, I know you're feeling some kind of way right now. You're gonna feel some kind of way
Yep.
during
Yep. Yep.
during winter break. My friend's daughter is in Texas. She's not at A&M. I remember in a moment, but she said that she was like, "Wait, she just came home for the summer. I don't even know this girl." I said,
Mm-hmm.
I tried to tell you.
Yep.
You won't listen. You was
Yep.
like, "No, she's not gonna change. She's always been like this." I said, as soon as they get away from you, they realize they're their own person. They got to make decisions. I gotta go. And here's the thing that shocked me. It was like, how much do you pay for toilet paper? Because this is high.
Right. Right.
I don't want the cheap. Mom, you buy the Charmin is expensive. Like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. You could always use what they give you. She said, no, I will not. I want
Right.
the Charmin. So, we had to give her the code for Uber Eats and DoorDash and order from the store to come to you. So just know that just because she's not physically present, or she gonna be present right in that wallet.
For real. For sure. I know that.
Wallet. But I'm so pleased for you. Congratulations.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Yes.
Main thing
Watching
I
this
said,
journey.
right. I told you, just don't let anyone dim your light. I just don't want to see your light dim when you come back. That's the main
Right,
thing.
right, right,
So
right. And mental health. And we're going to talk about mental health today. So I'm going to come back to that for you, for the student. Okay. It's something my own child told me. So, Miss Joey, what you got for us?
I I really had to think about it because there's so much going on. So glad to be with all of you. I guess the thing that gave me joy, I made a donation. I'm a regular supporter of our local public radio station, and I chose, a gift that they give. Inside of that box was something I wasn't expecting. It was something that I've been meaning to buy for a long time and just never got around to it because I really don't like buying stuff online. That was it. It's a fire blanket for the home.
Oh,
So it's an emergency one where you, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, okay, so I guess technically I bought it, but it was very much like a gift, something, a surprise that I was not expecting at all. Um, and I don't know, it doesn't take a whole lot to make me happy. It really doesn't. I try my best to find gratitude in some of everything in my life. So that really, really pleased me. You know,
okay.
uh, sudden surprise is nice.
Mhm.
Thing that upset me today, because when you mentioned the straitjacket, I wasn't sure if you meant a straitjacket for myself or a straitjacket for someone in particular.
Whichever
So,
way you want, whichever way it means to you.
so, so I got a few choice people who could probably do with a jacket and some undivided attention by a therapist. But that being said, I, well, Sister Cheryl and I live in a county where the very first county-wide Black elected official is being challenged for a recall. And they are in the process of trying to get enough signatures. So one of our dear friends is, I don't know if she's identified as a campaign manager or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Campaign.
But she's running it, and this woman is definitely a queen maker. If you listen to her, she will help you win whatever it is that you're doing. If you don't, heaven help you. All right. But the frustration, just overall, overarching frustration that someone's trying to do this when it is not rightfully deserved. I fully understand that many people don't understand the true job of a district attorney. And when you don't understand where the boundaries are, what the limits are, and everything else, it's real easy to get whipped up into a froth because you're just going on feelings instead of on facts. Well, I was a little agitated this morning because the doggone QR code wouldn't scan for me on my phone so that I could register to participate in a house party. And I've done them before. I'm there to be supportive for this wonderful sister who has deservedly earned her spot as the district attorney for our county. I've been a fan of her from the beginning, even before she ran. But technology, I'm an analog girl, and doing all this digital stuff, I do it just to remain relevant. So I had to send a message to the Queen Maker and say, when you get a chance, because the QR code isn't working, send me the actual link so I can register so you guys can keep track of that. But other than that, life is beautiful. I'm grateful to be in your presence, and I'm eager to learn what my sister Cheryl has to bring forth this day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's something that you said, that Sister Matza said, Brother Fleming, and especially Ishmael said that we wanted to talk about today. There's two things. One is mental health, and as we go back to school, as our children go back to school, and then on a larger note, wanted to talk about these notion of gratitude and the perspective of gratitude. But before we get to that, I wanted to, I see Sister Martha has logged back in, so I'll ask you a question in a moment. But I was listening to our local station, Miss Joey, KQED, Miss Amatullah, you know that, this morning. And I said, I want to talk about this on the show. Their forum episode this morning was about customer service experiences and how they've changed over the years, and including having, AI and bots handling the work. And just listening to it, I said, I want to talk about this morning, because this is, a lot of people, the name of the author who was there, his book is called, I might get this wrong, but something like That Accidental Hang Up When You Were on Hold. It was on purpose. And so people were calling in and they're talking about their customer service experiences. And then he's revealing how through his research, not everybody's human, or it's an AI or whatever. So I really wanted to ask you guys about that. Before I do that, I will tell you that like I said, I only believe in speaking if it improves the silence. So I'm not going to repeat what either of you say as far as what brings joy or what brings the mental health check in, except for these. People who believe their own madness. So that they believe that everyone else needs a therapist except for them. My grandmother used to say, if you think that everyone else is local and you're the only sane one in the room, you might want to check. Might want to run a check. What's happening in this administration, to Sister Matzla's point earlier, you were talking to Sister Nyla about what's happening in these different administrations, state and federal level. Clearly, we have a dearth of mental health practitioners, or we have some that just aren't very good. they might not be very good. Because if they are out there working, they're not very good. Because people are believing, like, well, my they they smell like roses when they're trouncing through a land of using something that Joy will relate to while they're walking through the wastewater. Trying to be as nice as I can this morning. And they still think they smell like roses on the other side. What has my heart singing is that I'm watching in I'm a little bit tickled at watching what's happening, the infighting in administration. You had one quit, didn't like what the Pam Bondi had to say, and then there's others in there fighting with one another. Because I was sitting here like, they're not gonna make it to September, so I might win. I don't gamble a bet, but I'm winning. You're turning on each other, like, which doesn't take a genius to calculate that people will turn on one another. But I will say the thing that makes me shift my hijab, which is a different thing. I don't understand the oxymoron that is called Black MAGA. Somebody's gonna have to explain that one to me. Maybe not this second, but somebody's gonna have to explain to me, and I'm gonna bring it up again in a few minutes. But Black MAGA, they cannot understand what MAGA actually means in other languages. I think I said this a few months back. I gave you guys what it meant in different languages. So let's start here. Oh, wait, first, Sister Martha, really quick. I have a question for you before we start this conversation. I saw you poke up your head a second ago, so I know you're there. What makes your heart sing? What's making your heart sing this Monday morning? And what's making you reach for your therapist number before they put you in that white room? What do they call it? Robber room. Let me know when you're back on the screen. We'll come to you. While we wait for her, here's something I wanted to contemplate, Sister Amatullah, Brother Fleming. And Miss Joey, Brother Ishmael, think about this. And Miss Mark, think about this. What? So customer service, first of all, customer service has gone the way of, from United Airlines, American Airlines, and even JetBlue or Alaska to Frontier. And what's that other one? Spirit Airlines. So you can see if you make a phone call and you try and call to anyone, whether it's buying a concert ticket, a flight, or your local utility or anywhere else, you're likely to encounter a non-human on the other end responding. And by the time you get to the human, they sound like a robot. Whether you're making a doctor's appointment, you just trying to get directions to the post office. It doesn't matter. What would you say is one of your most frustrating experiences? And then what happened and what'd you do? I'm just interested. I want to hear like your most frustrating customer service experience. What happened and what did you do? I'm gonna kick us off with one, but my daughter's office called. My internist called. He said, we got the referral. The young man said, we have the referral for your appointment. Your doctor really wants you to come in for your appointment, etc. And it looks like they already did the pre-screening, so we can set your appointment. I said, okay, that's great. I talked to her last week. So what are we talking in the next 2 weeks? What do you have available? There's 3 weeks left in July. What do you have available? Oh, no, he doesn't have anything in July. The next day we have is August 6th. I said, first of all, I'm going to be traveling. Second of all, why are you calling me and then telling me that you can't see me till August, September? When she said she purposely wanted me to go into the office. So, and then he said, well, we only have August 6th. I said, stop saying August 6th. I just told you I'm not in town on August 6th. August 6th doesn't work. And so what do you have? Well, we don't have anything in July. What do you have? You have August 1st, August 4th, August 5th? No. The closest he has is August 6th. I said, if you say August 6th one more time, when I told you, I can't do August 6th. And he say, so do you want me to look in September? Excuse me? This is July. So now you're gonna push me to September, late September, that October? When I just told you, they told me to go in the next few weeks. Oh, but ma'am, we don't have anything. It's like talking to a small child. And I said, you know what? Why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you go talk to the doctor directly and then call me back and tell me what the doctor says. Oh, so you want me to talk to the doctor? Is what I just say. I want you to talk to the doctor directly and then you call me back. You tell the doctor to read the order and then you call me back. I said, if I wait till September, October, I might be dying by then. We don't know what's happening. Is why they told me to go in. And he said, oh, I apologize for that. But we did have, here he goes. And he caught himself. I said, you have what? Oh, no, I'll just call the doctor and then I'll call you back. Because I was like, if you say August 6th one more time. And so I think what's frustrating about that is that we were being allowed to book our appointments online and you can see when the doctor's available. And when they call, there's no sense of urgency, right? And I don't think there's anything urgent, but this is the problem when you have like, um, especially if you need a cancer screen, if you need, any of those, waiting a few months could be the difference between, being healthy or being diagnosed with a condition that you can't control. And so I say, well, if he got me with me, it's fine. I can just go to a different health group. I've been going to him for 20 years, but it is not going to hurt my feelings to go to someone else in Off the Bates Network or the Sutter Network. What I'm not going to do is wait till October.
Or go in on August 6th.
Thank you. I'm like, I don't know how you think I'm coming. I told you I'm not even in the Bay for August 6th. So that's an example of that circular conversation because I think they're given a script. And I know, Joey, you have a lot with customer service experience. So I know I was going to ask you to weigh in, but let me see what Sister Amatullah and Brother Fleming. But I really want to hear from somebody else because I'm telling you, I'm pretty patient with most things, but I'm not patient when I know you're reading a script, you're not listening to me. Whatever it is, right? And then I'm going to tell you something I found out about how to get resolution to an issue. I know Brother Fleming's driving. So, Brother Fleming or Sister Matza, one of you, what's your customer service battle story?
I'm gonna try to make this 30 seconds. Can you hear me okay? You remember when they first shifted the answering service overseas, going back a few years now. And you're talking to someone with a very strong accent to begin with. But they're not in America at all. They're people they've hired in Indonesia or some other place, paying them very cheap responses, cheap labor actually. And sometimes my first frustration was, would you please repeat that and just slow it down just a little bit so I can fully understand what you're saying? So I got a little bit, I'm very patient on the norm, very, very patient. But if I tell you something 3 times and you still don't understand what I'm saying, then we have a little problem. Then I start speaking in a different language. So I was frustrated just with that initially. Now it's gone on I'm going to say, there's a word for that when it goes upscale, to the ninth degree, because you never speak to a human person hardly. It's all pre-recorded. It's all set up to just sort of give you the minimum information. And there's really no human connection as far as I'm concerned. Now, I have one physician I go to, sort of gives me a hard time. He insists that I take certain things I don't want to take. And he just keeps telling me and reminding me how stubborn I am. But I appreciate that. What I don't appreciate is calling someone's office and say, look, we can't see you until 6 months out. I said, six, a half a year? He's not available for 6 months? Well, thank you very much. We have to see another physician in this case. I can't wait 6 months. So I think as customers, we have to put the demands on the system also and let them know that we're not going to tolerate certain kind of behavior. Uh, and I've had to sort of raise my voice a few times on some issue. My wife considered mine. I consider it very, very important. I will call about my TV situation uh, because I want to get rid of some apps on the TV, and they want to give me all of a sudden now. Oh, we got a new order, a new offer for you. If you buy this package, I said I didn't call for that. I called to eliminate three specific apps on this TV. I never use them. I don't need to pay the expense. That's what I want to resolve. That also annoys me. Just do what I asked you to do, and let's get to the next issue, please. So I've had those kind of frustrated issues. Now, my oldest daughter, she lives on Amazon, so she could probably give you a whole encyclopedia on her frustration with Amazon. I don't use that often, but that's her main resource when it comes to buying things and getting returned or getting them the next day. She likes that kind of service. Uh, all right, that's my 30 seconds. So, Amatullah.
Hmm. Consistency. I really, when you first posed the question, Cheryl, I couldn't think about it, but I will, and then as conversation went on, I thought about one that was very frustrating, which was my husband and I had a business account that was set up with one of the cable carriers. They had ventured off into web hosting, and that was just nightmarish. Um, Going around with Brother Fleming brought up the thing in terms of you're dealing with offshore people. You're talking to someone in Sri Lanka or India or probably one of the, or maybe even Philippines, as Brother Fleming said, because the labor is cheaper there. And they have these massive call centers that are set up to deal with customer service. Sometimes you'll come across someone who has a good grasp of the English language in terms of pronunciation because of their education in the colonial English systems. And sometimes it's just like, yeah, it's a challenge with the language barrier. And then you have what Cheryl brought up as far as the bots that are used to automate customer service. And I think that Sister Joey mentioned earlier that she's an analog girl, but the world is, but she tries to stay relevant. I could appreciate that. Because I mean, this is, and especially with the advance of AI, we're going to encounter this more and more. Um, and what helps me with that sometimes, because I did have an incident recently, I was trying to get around the automated things, and I wanted to go directly to, I think maybe it was either HP or Apple Tech, one of the two. I was having trouble with either the printer or with the phone. And so sometimes when you get into that gridlock with the customer service bot, you have to step back and think like a person. Okay, you have to kind of imagine that's a person on the other end, and what can I say to change that person? The person that programmed that bot, that's what I'm referring to. And so sometimes that can help you to get around the loop that you keep being in, because they're not going to give you right away the option to speak to a live person. So go back and think about back in the day, what do we do? Sometimes we use the pound sign or the hashtag sign. Sometimes we press 9 or sometimes we press O for operator. So you got to kind of fool around with those things to trick the system that they have set up. Because even though it's automated and it is non human, there was a human behind it that programmed it. So even though you may not have coding experience, if you just think about the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. So if you put the wrong thing in, you're going to get the wrong thing out from any kind of computer system because it's not human. And as far as the healthcare thing, I mean, that is really out of the box. And yes, they do have a script. I'm putting on my prior union hat. What has happened probably since 1990, maybe 95 to 2000, is a lot of these corporations have gone to metrics. And so, say for example, the FedEx guy, I know they had a big to-do around it. They know that within a half an hour, they should have 4 stops that they've already made. Or at the end of the day, they should have 41. And so if they come in with 25 because they tried to help the old lady across the street or because they tried to answer your question about your package, then they get blowback because they didn't stick to the script. They didn't stick to the timeline that they set out. And so a lot of organizations have gone to that. Um, and so, a lot of times, what I do in the health industry, when they say these outrages, well, we can see you in about 8 or 9 weeks or whatever, I always say, put me on the wait list because somebody is going to cancel. So you have to get around that by getting on a wait list as a suggestion. It doesn't work all the time, but a lot of times it does work if you have the flexibility, because sometimes they may call you up 9 o'clock and say, we have an 11 o'clock, can you come in? So you always risk that. But this is the wave of now. I can't even say the future. This is implemented now, and it is going to get more frustrating. We just have to um, breathe deeply and be determined in our mind that we're not going to let this bot get the best of us and try and think of ways to find a loophole. But then
Yeah.
also, sometimes something will come on and say, uh, take the survey at the end of the call, lay into that survey. Tell them, you need a new bot. You need to get people back in there for customer service, because that's the way that we are going to, that we can potentially push back. Um, but the numbers that they're talking about, I think I heard somewhere yesterday or today where they were talking about in the next 6 months, you're going to have close to 500,000 people going to lose their job based on AI. What do we do?
Mm. That's interesting query. So, and where's Sister Martha? I did see her a second ago. I want to have her weigh in, but I really, there she is, Sister Martha. I wanted to have you weigh in and give us one, and then I want to talk to Joey for a moment. But one of the interesting things is about that survey at the end of the calls, right? And what I was listening to this researcher, and he was talking about the survey at the end of the call, and people were like, we're frustrated. We didn't get anything accomplished. Now you're asking me to give you a survey. And he said they don't know what else to do, the companies. And so he's not just like with your job, if you put out a customer sat survey or you put out an opinion research, is what you do is it that makes the difference. Is not the fact that you collected it. because that's what frustrates me. Okay, you keep asking, and they ask you before you're on the call, right? Will you agree to a 2-minute survey afterwards? You probably better make sure that you meet my needs before you ask me to give you a survey, because probably not the one. And you know, but I want to tell you how you get some resolution. So, Sister Martha, talk to us. The question is, we're talking about right now. We're talking about customer service and the customer service nightmare scenarios. What gets you about our customer service? Is there an incident? What happened? And then how did you resolve it? And I think this is important for all of us to learn, because we're all in some kind of customer service, customer relations, client relations in one way or in another, whether it's in your professional life or your personal life. So I like hearing the feedback because it does assist in other aspects. Madam, what you got?
Yes, and assalamu alaikum, God's peace be upon everyone. Yes, it's amazing that you asked that question too, because in my life of customer service, doing escort service in the medical field, in the hospital, and then working at the outpatient registration, and then in insurance billing in the same hospital, and with the insurance billing, patients who had third party insurances and didn't know how they would get those insurances submitted, the information submitted so they can get some dollars back. And I would have the clients to send in or come in and bring in their paperwork. So that's being, customer friendly, making everything accessible. But because we were down a certain hallway, the manager saw that was not uh, feasible. I saw nothing wrong with it. And then, but what really gets me, is an incident of doing refunds. After doing all the research and accounting and all that, and seeing that the patient was the one to get the refund, and then to learn that the checks were written, sitting on the manager's desk, waiting for a signature. And they're asking you to tell the client that the check is in the mail. And I would not. I said, the check is sitting on exactly what it was, where it was. And they said, thank you, because they've been calling for about 2 or 3 weeks with the one I was speaking with, 2 or 3 weeks. And they kept telling them, it's in the mail, it's in the mail. And so that was really in my craw right here. The other instance is when your clients are coming in, the form of the movement around the hospital or wherever you are, and you have to give directions to people. And some do not find it uh, harmful if you give a person the wrong directions.
Mm.
You go down the hall, you turn left, and the elevator should be right there. And they know good and time well, excuse me, that they just gave them the wrong turn. So literally, I would get up from my desk and walk them part ways and make sure that they see it. And then I'm thankful to be on the other end, going into place, and the hospitality of the person, of the customer person. Uh, just the customer relations is very important. Human relations, I should say. So yes, main thing is just be truthful, and then be trustworthy. That when you put your word out there, that that it's doing more than just with that one person.
Love it.
So alhamdulillah.
I can tell you how the directions, because I use the forearm crutches. And I have never used profanity, but I can tell you that if somebody send me down a long hallway, up some elevator, and then down another long hallway, knowing good and well he's wrong, instead of just saying, I don't know, and then you get to the end of the hallway and the office has moved, right? So maybe that was true. That particular office was down there, but he's not now. And isn't it your role to make sure you got one job, and that's to direct people to the right place? And you have me walking around like that in circles. It's a great
And
way to
things
get
are
my
timely as well.
yes,
Very
yes.
timely. People coming for appointments and such, they don't have the time to make go in the wrong direction.
And
So
it's that point. So you get there on plenty of time, and now you're walking around in circles because either the chart on the front of the board at the medical facility is
Mhm.
inaccurate, because
Mm-hmm.
you know they switch offices. So I just did this last week. So I was at this
Mm.
one building. I went upstairs and I'm like, okay, what floor? They were on the second floor last time. I went to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth floor. I finally called them and I'm like, where is your office? Did you move? And she said, no, it's Suite 201. And I was like, I was just at Suite 201. That ain't it. And she's like, oh, what building are you at?
I
1990 something something. So I told her, she said, oh, we're not in that building anymore.
see.
Don't you think you should have mentioned this when you called me to confirm my appointment? And I said, "Oh, you guys still in the same building?" And she said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, I thought you meant we've been here all year. I haven't seen you since last year. It's an annual appointment. What are you talking about?" We didn't get a message. We didn't get an email. We didn't get, and when you send me that text message saying confirm your appointment, you know, it would be helpful if you said, please note our new address.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time I got there, I was 15 minutes past my appointment time.
Mm.
And they were like, well, you know, we only allow a 10-minute window. I said, not today. Either you come see me or I'm walking back there. Somebody's seeing me today. I took off work and I'm not coming back here. So figure it out. 5 minutes later, somebody came and it was like, oh, Cheryl, we apologize for the, and okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's just get this appointment done. You know, so but you know, like you said, it's timely. So
Mhm.
if I'm spending 10 if I'm spending my 15-minute window trying to find where you are, and then you get there and say, oh, well, you're 10 minutes, you're past your 10-minute window.
I tell you, let me tell you a funny thing. People coming in the outpatient registry for lab work, especially a man coming in for a semen analysis, anyone knowing what that is, that's time related as well. And then
Yes.
women coming in for ultrasounds and they're
Yes.
pregnant
Yeah.
and they're already holding that water.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Almost all my appointments, I have to fast
Mm.
the night before. So no, nothing. So you know, I don't get hangry very often, but if I want the water, especially if I'm not fasting, he's
Hmm.
like, now I've been fasting since 6 p.m. yesterday. You know, you got me running around here in circles. So, Joey, I wanted to bring you in. Miss Joey Smith, uh, how many years total at East Bay Mud?
Oh goodness. Started in 92, so
31, 33,
well,
right? 33 years.
it technically 32 years as a regular employee because I started on the board this year.
Right. Okay, but so East Bay Mud is our East Bay Municipal Utilities District. They handle water and wastewater. Um, and Joey was a longtime employee, and now she retired from the uh, job and was elected to the board in November.
Yeah, I retired because I got elected.
Exactly.
I'm not the type of person to quit one thing without something else being certain.
So I know that you have, because you and I've talked about these. Tell us a couple, tell us, give us a good one of your nightmare customer service. So
Oh,
from the other end. So she's going to tell us from the receiving end. I like the one where they were stealing water.
oh my goodness. Yeah, okay.
So can you tell us about it and tell us the situation,
Hmm.
and then how the confrontation occurred, and then what you guys did to handle it.
Okay. So the last leg as an employee there. Well, let me give a little bit of backstory. I spent 13 years in the plumber series. That's how I got started. Then I became a supervisor in facilities maintenance, and my staff worked all throughout our distribution system. So by the time I became a water conservation technician, where I'm working with customers more frequently than I had for the past 12 years, um, it it gave me sort of a 360 view of what happens at this company. That being said, I was working on projects to help identify water leaks. And again, all this AI and computer algorithms and whatnot, some addresses get identified. So I call these people to let them know that it appears that they have a leak. Many people were definitely not aware. A few people were aware and perplexed about, because they're not finding a leak and all that. Well, the situation that Sister Cheryl mentioned, there was an account. I called the information on the account. The person who answered the phone was a man, and I told him, it appears that you have a water leak. He all but cussed me out, saying that I don't live there anymore. They evicted me, and that's their problem. I'm like, well, so noted, but the account is still in your name. Okay, fine. So he gives me the phone number to the owner of the property. This is where things get really interesting. It turns out that the owners of the property are an elder couple. The wife received it as inheritance from a good friend of the family, right? And they and their church members were working on that property to get it updated and the like, so that they could have a renter in there. During that process, the person who I spoke with initially met up with these people who were working on the house. He was a total stranger to them. He was not a tenant there. He was just someone who saw an opportunity. He just happened to be really handy as a craftsman, a carpenter. He was good with trades, period. And so all the deacons and everybody else, they embraced him and all the effort that he was giving towards making this house better. Well, what they did not know was when everybody else went to their respective other places, be it home or whatever, he would hang back and he would find and set up ways for him to get back into the house until the next time folks were coming around, right? And then he would, basically come out a little early so that folks wouldn't suspect. How do I know this? When I'm talking with the actual owner of the property, she told me that particular story that was relayed to her from one of the head deacons. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that, you went through this. They did not know that for months after the project was finished, this individual was squatting in the property. He opened, and the owners had closed. They shut off the account. The water was turned off. He opened an account because legally everyone should be able to have water. And so there wasn't anything set up to ensure that anyone opening a water account has the authority to open the account at that location.
Okay, so hold on a second, because I want to underscore this. For any of you ever had any strange utility bills pop up, listen to the rest of this. Because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know how many if someone has been using either your address or your information. Okay, Joey, go ahead. And then I want to ask you some more questions. Go ahead.
Okay. So, after a while, because the neighbors to that house knew that it was supposed to be empty, but they started noticing that, seemed like there was something lively there. And the owners went in, they went the next day and caught this guy there. It's like, whoa, who are you? Knowing full well that they did not officially rent this property yet. It got into a bit of a shouting match. He started calling her anything but a child of God. She called the police. This was in October. The police show up. He doesn't have any way to prove that he has the right to be there. And so the police gave him 30 days to vacate. 30 days. Okay, I couldn't believe that. But anyway, so come November, a leak starts showing up on our system. They hadn't had any leaks before. Nothing unusual, right? I call the number he gives me. I'm talking to the owner. She explained to me after a third time, because she kept sending the deacons over. They couldn't find anywhere there was a leak. It was just ridiculous. She finally called me about 3 months later and let me know that it turned out that there was damage in the floor directly beneath the water heater, and the water was going out of the house, under the house. That's why no one saw any type of leak, right? So this individual, I know that I'm just suspecting, but it seems to make sense to me that he did intentional damage to the property in such a way that it wouldn't easily be found. Squatters do this type of stuff, unfortunately. So when she called me to let me know that they found the leak, she wanted to know how she can get some type of discount, some type of break, because she really did not know where it was. And I helped her out with getting that together. Here's the clincher to me. She found out that while this individual was squatting in her house, because he had PG&E turned on, he turned on the new water account, all this other good stuff. The reason why he was stopped from adding his name to the deed, because this is what he attempted to do, was because that information went to her personal home. He didn't have access to her mail there. And people from wherever her deed was being kept contacted her and said, "Did you attempt to add someone to your deed?" And she's like, "Absolutely not." Long story short, if you have property, make sure that everything for that property that you don't live in goes to a secure mail, whether it's a P.O. box, your personal home, whatever it is, because folks are out there scamming and squatting. And I agree that there are landowners who are less than reputable and may treat their tenants wrong. Yet the way that the laws are set up, it can have negative impacts on not just elder property owners, people who are maybe less experienced in dealing with these nefarious type of people. So just be mindful that there's all types out there, and they wear a friendly mask to fool people. But on a personal note, slightly different, I have been going to the same dentist longer than I had been working at East Bay Mud. Watched his kids grow up, graduate from school, all this other good stuff. For the past, I don't know, 3 years or so, I would go, get whatever service, and ask before I leave, what do I owe? Oh, you're covered. Okay, fine, thanks. About 2 months later, I'll receive an invoice in the mail. What is this? So this kept going on, and for whatever reason, and I mean, these are good, intelligent people who were working in his office, okay? They just couldn't quite seem to figure out why it is that when I'm there, the computer says that I don't owe anything, but then I get a bill. And so this year, I mean, my goodness, I've never used up all of my Delta in a year before, but it's been some stuff that's been happening. And he has newer and, dare I say, younger staff there now. And I expressed again, what do I owe? And she types up and she says, oh, you're covered. I said, well, for a little while, I've been asking and I've been being told that I'm covered, and then I get an invoice. So, one, it's a little frustrating to me because I don't ask what I owe if I can't pay. Two, y'all are using your time inefficiently because you shouldn't have to send me this bill. So not only is it your time, but also the financial resources for this office. Now, I've known my dentist a long time. He's like a big brother to me. He's given me wonderful advice. So I'm not trying to throw his staff under the bus. I'm talking with them directly. You try to handle things at the lowest level, right? I got an invoice from the last time that I went about a month ago. I just got an invoice. And inside, she wrote a handwritten note. Miss Smith, I remembered what you told me when you left. I apologize, but the system was not updated by the insurer when I looked at this. Please forgive this oversight. We appreciate your business.
So I thank you, Joy. I think this is what's amazing to me is that we have a dearth of, I mean, we have a deficit of healthcare workers, especially on the doctors and dentists on the doctor level and up. So we have a deficit. But the ones we have, sometimes, not all of them, there are some, let me say it that way. They're like they don't want to be there. They don't recognize that we're paying for a service, right? And if you're paying for a service, you expect a minimal level of humanity with the service. Uh, but before I ask you guys a question, I want to just emphasize this whole point. I watch a lot of what is it called? Dateline. Do you watch that, Sister Muslim? I watch Dateline. Oh, Brother Fleming's back. I watch Dateline. I watch Greed. I like that show. I watch um, To Catch a Smuggler, To Catch a Thief. All of them. I watch all of them. And the one thing and I watch it because I like being educated about what Miss Joey just talked about, right? These people who will squat. There was a situation where someone was selling a house in one state but living in another because they had to move for their job. And the neighbors called and said, someone's living in your house. So they found there are people who go through listings for like open houses to find out if somebody is living there or if it's truly an open house. And then they take over the house. But more scary is when they take over, they switch the names, like it's no longer your house because they've done a quick claim, a very quick claim deed to switch the name to their own. They do that by, going through your mail and, the pre-approved credit card offers and, you contacted, IRS for something. And so IRS is still have not learned not to put your whole social security number on the mailing. And some of us do it to ourselves. So this is what I want your feedback on. Some of us do it to ourselves. Like these celebrities who get robbed, these so-called celebrities who get robbed. You don't want to tell everybody you're not going to be in town. You tell everybody you're going to be out of town for 3 weeks, or you're going to be over at the Met Gala, or you're going to be somewhere else. And then you come home shocked. How did they know? You put it all over social media. And I tell my friends and family the same thing, and my children know now not to do it. I get it. People love sharing what they, I went on this vacation or when. Tell them when you get back. Tell them when you get back. Do you guys talk to your neighbors when you leave to let your neighbors know to watch out for your house?
Yes.
Yeah, neighbors ask
Yeah, I
us.
live on a hill. There's no property around my house. That's like 2 acres of land. But the closest house to me, we look out for each other. She tells me when she's going out of town, she and her husband and my wife, of course. I let them know we're going to be out of town, and we look out for each other. And they'll call me sometimes. Say, I got an alarm on my house. You go around there and see if anybody's trying to go in the back, and but a deer ran through the backyard and set off something. So we always check on each other. So it's just been.
Yeah, we do the same. Sister Matsula, you guys do the same?
Yes. Neighbors, in fact, were out of town last week or whatever. I think 10 o'clock in the morning. My husband getting ready to go out the door. I'm like, "Where are you going?" He said, "Oh, I forgot to pick up their mail." I'm like, "Okay, couldn't you do it in the morning?" "No, but I want to get it tonight." Okay. Good thing he did because there was mail on the porch.
Yeah. My children used to pick up our neighbor's mail. I used to have them pick it up and put it in a basket. And then or we'd walk by and they would have like uh, 3 or 4 newspapers because they were still tossing newspapers. They were still getting the legacy media paper newspapers.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, they're just inviting somebody to break in. Go get, I mean, one, you come up our hill, you come up for a purpose because it's a dead end, right? It dead ends into the reservoir. But that doesn't mean that somebody isn't going to come around. People are always driving around. And usually they're driving around because there's an open house somewhere and they want to look, But sometimes you don't know what people drive around for. So we pick up their newspapers, we pick up their mail, we put it in a basket. And years ago, we just gave each other keys, right? Because my neighbor next door, his children moved all the way across the country. They came and they were just like, can you just check on them for us? And they both since passed away last year, one after the other. But so we would go check on them, and if they didn't answer, I'd call it daughter, and she was like, "Yeah, do you mind just going in and check?" No, not at all. I know we don't have a lot of people don't have those kind of relationship with their neighbors. But this situation, when Joey told me this situation a couple of years ago, I think, and plus, like I said, I watch all the paranoia shows. I call them paranoia shows, as my husband said. He said, "Got you sitting around paranoid. Something's gonna happen." Probably, but 48, 48, 48, the
Yeah.
next 48, that one, yeah, I
Mm.
like that
First
one too.
48, yeah.
First 48 is what it is. And I like that one too. I really like Greed. I think Greed just, if you guys don't watch Greed, watch Greed. Greed just blows my mind sometimes. Like, how did you fall for this? And people who fall for something, I don't believe, I don't know why I fell for this. Like the Prince scheme, or, you got an inheritance from a long lost relative. They are always in the Sudan or Kenya, Nigeria. And I said, "Lady, you blonde with blue eyes. When you got a long lost relative in Nigeria, you was you fell for that one, and then you mad because now you out of. She was out of. This was this weekend. She was out of almost $1 million, and the other lady was out of $1.8 million.
Mm.
And the customer service, going back to that they received, it was basically from the FBI and their state's attorney general, um, breaking it down to the message that they received was, we can't guarantee you're going to get your money back. As a matter of fact, you probably won't. But it's a tough lesson to learn. That's what they said.
That was the extent of the customer service.
Pretty much.
Oh,
It's a tough lesson to learn. We can't track them. They move around so much they can't track them. I think last year they managed to, and earlier this year, they managed to arrest this ring of men in Russia, Nigeria, Kenya, who are running the scam. But their scam goes back almost 20, 30 years. So imagine all the people that they have gotten money from in that time frame. It's a multi-billion-dollar scam. And the customer service was, yeah, it's a tough lesson to learn. We really can't get your money back. Sister, you remember the older lady who lost money like that here in the Bay? She's in a retirement home, and her son, I think he lives in Washington State. And he came down and he was like, "Mom, why did you sign it?" She said, "He told me I had to sign it." And she got really embarrassed and she shut down. She didn't want to talk anymore. And they found out that, yeah, there was this, she felt threatened. She felt like she was going to lose the home she had for her children, even though she was staying in a retirement facility. And they conned her into signing over the property, which was worth a few $1 million. And she actually signed it. This wasn't a case where they forged it. She signed it. She didn't know what she was signing.
Mm.
And there's a bill out right now against this for to categorize this as elder abuse.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I didn't see it, but there was a movie out maybe a couple of years ago, um, of these court-appointed guardian ad litems for the elderly, and this one woman was rogue, and she took advantage of people like that. Um, it's just greed is a way to describe it. People spend more time and effort in doing crooked things than if they would just live an honest life. Unfortunately, that is the fear of want is something that Shaitan has put into society and amplified it to such a degree and built up appetites for consumerism that people don't have any qualms of robbing and stealing and cheating and all of that, unfortunately. But the being aware of being a good neighbor is important. It's important that we come back to it. Sometimes we might live in situations where you can't even trust your neighbors. Um, Around the Christmas holiday season, you see all these videos of the porch pirates that drive around and snatch packages off of the porch, and it is that's one of those straitjacket situations that you were talking about at the beginning of the program. Um, just if we just constantly feed off of those things, it can really just discourage you and your thoughts about humanity. When in reality, all of those different scams just show how far away people can get from their human essence, from the good essence that they have. Because when you think about it, you got to really strategize and scheme, and um, you got to put some thought and some effort into these things if you're going to be successful at being a thief or a con artist.
Yeah.
But again, we elect them to public office, so you know we don't really have a society that condemns. I mean, we got a convicted felon as the president of the United States. You know,
Being heralded.
we have a homeland security person who shot her puppy and then wrote about it in a book and thought that it was okay. And so um,
You got Hexeth,
if
who
oh heck,
he
please,
even cussed out his own mom.
please, and so there's all of these factors are bombarding us in society. And I was going to, when Brother Fleming mentioned the guy in North Carolina who shot the um, the pastor's wife and the child, people have such little regard for human life, and it's no accident. And I know people say, "Oh, that's just a whole bunch of stuff." Um, you just imagine if you're spending 2 or 3 hours, or in some cases 8, 9, and 10 hours a day on a video game, and you're shooting all of these um, pop-up images, and you're just shooting and killing and shooting and killing and shooting and killing day after day after day. The brain does not um, make the distinction between this is not real, this isn't reality, this is make believe, and what is make believe. So you have people who just consume this, and then we wonder, when we have such easy access to guns, well, why did they go and kill somebody? Well, they've been looking at it, you know, 40 hours a week. What do you think they're going to do? Um, Imam Fahim, I think it might have been a khutbah that he gave. He was talking about the brain and the perception, and how Allah in the Quran talks about images and illusions that Shaitan creates, um, and how that affects us in the society, and how it can rob you of your human nature, that original nature that Allah has put in you. And he referenced, it might have been in a book or a study, where after, I think it was either World War I or two of those wars, that they said that the soldiers, that they observed that even if the enemy was very close to them and they had the opportunity to shoot, to fire their gun, that only 15% of the soldiers would do that. And so after the Army studied that, they said, well, we got to change our training so that we can get a higher percentage of soldiers who will actually, put forward the energy to kill the aggressor coming towards them. And so, they beefed up the training and whatnot. But the key thing of the training that made the difference was they changed, when they had firearm practice, from the bullet target image, the bullseye, to actually the silhouette of a human being. And once they changed to that silhouette of the human being in the target practice, the numbers went up as far as soldiers in combat, those who were willing to kill, to proceed to kill. And the same thing, you can apply that same reality to the police and how they are trained. They they have their fire practice that they have to do. It's mandatory, and they're not using the bullseye. They're using that silhouette of a human target. And so um, I think back to that little brother, and he was in Ohio. Tamir, I can't remember his last name. He was playing with a toy gun in a park. Tamir
You're
Rice,
right.
Rice, yeah.
Yes.
And someone called it in. The officers came, and I think it was within 6 seconds they killed this. What was he, 11 or 12-year-old boy who was playing with a toy gun? Um, so we have to be very careful with what we allow to come in through our five senses, especially from what we see, because of the inability of the brain to distinguish between what is real and what is an illusion. And so, um,
It's a good point. Um, let me say this and then I want to ask you guys a question about gratitude. To your point, I was watching, I was watching something on History Channel or whatever it was. I think it was History or National Geographic, one of those channels. Um, and then there was a like an advertisement for the new season of Duck Hunters, that duck show.
mm,
I forget what it's called. Duck, I think it's Duck Hunters or something. It's a family that it made their
I guess.
yeah, they made their wealth off of killing ducks for no other reason. I mean, they hunt ducks. So for no other I mean an easier way to say it. And I watched this clip and it was supposed to be funny. But to your point, it has to sink into the psyche because it was a birthday celebration for one of the children. And so one of the adults dressed up as a duck. Um, Not a very good one. He just put on some kind of plastic wings or whatever. And he came out, and then the grandfather was the older guy. He was in a wheelchair. He comes out later, but first this guy comes out and he gives all of the young boys one of the not an air gun, but the ones that you shoot little Nerf disc with.
Oh, uh-huh. Nerf
Yeah,
gun.
but it looks like a gun.
Yeah, Nerf.
And then yeah, like a Nerf, yeah, but it has the circle, not the ball, but the circle.
Mm-hmm.
And and I watched it because I wanted to see what they were doing. And he was throwing plastic ducks up into the air.
Mm,
And these little children, none of them, I think the oldest may have been 9 because they were all under 10, were shooting at the plastic duck as it was thrown up in the air.
mm,
It was like a dozen little boys, all boys.
mm, mm, mm.
And he would say, pull, throw the duck, and they'd shoot this Nerf disc. And then the grandfather comes down the ramp in the wheelchair with the huge one. Looks like a big water gun, but it was one of those Nerf, and it was huge. And he starts shooting at the guy, the father who's throwing up the ducks. He says, change your plans. We're gonna kill the big duck. We're gonna go after the big duck, that's what he say. So all the little boys turned and they started shooting at the person. Now, if you've ever grown up with, you know, playing, those cowboy games or with those little toy pistols, whatever, I just remember my brothers being told, my stepfather used to tell them, you just never point at a person.
Right.
Don't point at a person. And that was like, I mean, it still rings in my ears. You don't point at people. I was watching this and I was like, is this supposed to be funny? And it's one of the shows where they have like, you can call in and you can type in like comments and they'll flow on the screen.
Mm.
And people were thinking it was cute and it was funny and you better get up off the ground. Those little boys mean business. I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Because in another 10 years, when he run around with a real pistol trying to shoot at people, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And so I think, to your point, it starts with just that framing, right? That framing that it's not violence. They're just playing around. They're having fun.
Hmm.
Can they make that switch in their young brains? Right? When they do see, because they are very free about keeping guns and whatever in their households.
Mhm.
And we've seen where children take guns to school in their backpack.
Right.
And we've seen, you know, they're innocently thinking nothing's wrong because they've been doing this at their home. I mean, I grew up with a stepfather who was a hunter. So, um, but I also know we were given strict command over what to touch, what not to touch, how to use guns, even as young children, or going to not very young children, more teenagers, on how to go to the range and things like that. And it was locked up. He had his rifles, his guns, everything locked up in a cabinet. Um, so it's that was interesting. But before we go, I want to ask a question to everybody who's on here right now. So Brother Michael, Amin, Brother Muhammad Sharif, Brother Ismail Hakmi. Is that Lamb or I am? I can't see. Is that I am?
I think it's I am.
Okay, I am.
Okay.
Sister Martha's not back on, but and then Brother Fleming and Sister Amatullah and Miss Joey. So we'll start with the guests. We'll start with everyone else, and then I want to end with you, Sister Matza and Brother Fleming. I've been dealing with this for the last couple weeks. Been talking about this one thing about what gratitude looks like. To try and there's so much negativity. There's so much that people can complain about and do complain about. And it can really send you spiraling or into this hole. So I wanted to ask each of you two questions or three questions. Three questions. What are three positive characteristics that you hold, you possess? And what three things that you are, or not that you've done, you are proud of about yourself? And then the last question is, what are you most grateful for? Those are the three questions. I'm gonna put them in chat, but I want to start. So Brother Michael, Brother Muhammad, Brother Ishmael, I am, Miss Joey. Any of you can go first.
Unmute yourself or raise your hand.
And I'm gonna put the question in chat so you can see it.
Also in the chat, while we're waiting for someone to speak, I put a link to a story from the Daily Sunnah that really struck me that I wanted to share before we leave, and also a quote. So the third thing you'll see in the chat will be the questions that Sister Cheryl is putting in. So, Brother Michael, Mohammed, Ismail, I am, or either Lamb, not quite sure. I know you've joined us before, but we we don't know your true identity. Anyone want to proceed with Sister Cheryl's question?
Oh, it's coming off of mute. Go ahead, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Brother Muhammad, you got the floor.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thing I'm most proud of, I would say, is my consistency, my truthfulness, and my, what I would say, I think I said to seek to earnestness, right?
You say consistency?
Yes.
He said it's stick to itness.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that one. Okay. And what are so are those three positive characteristics you possess? Those are good. And then what are you proud of about yourself? What's something that just makes your heart sing, makes you really proud?
I believe sickness following leadership.
Leadership. It's good. Good. Anything else?
No, that would be it. I think that's enough.
Okay. Now tell us one more thing, something for which you are most grateful.
Being Muslim.
Oh, nice. Touche. Nice.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. All right. Lamb or Ishmael or Brother Michael. One of you are up.
I think it's I am. I think that's
Is it I am? I keep saying Lamb because
because it looks like Ishmael's.
it's my yes, my eyes. Lamb, you're up. Or I am.
Well, I was just listening. I didn't get on until close to the end. So I'll pass for today, but you were asking, what are we grateful for?
So three positive characteristics about you that you possess. Three things that you are proud of about yourself. You don't have to name three, but one or three things you're proud of about yourself. And then the last thing is something you're most grateful for.
Okay. Well, I really like that I genuinely like people. I don't have to fake it. uh, I like that. I'm a compassionate person. I guess it kind of goes along with that too. And that I'm a thoughtful person in terms of looking at a situation and not jumping to a conclusion. I just right away, I'll take my time. And some people may not consider it to be positive, but I do like that I'm able to evaluate situations. And then I'm I'm just great. I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. Grateful. So many things we were just talking about it being a challenge for us, but there are always so many more things that are not a challenge, are not painful, or
So
just trying to
I
focus
think this is
on
Amatullah
what
Umrani.
we
I'm
really
recognizing the voice. Amatullah, your
grateful
sound is
for.
going in and out.
Alice, that helps you to know that you can patiently persevere. That's it for me. Thank you.
Patiently persevere. Go ahead, Sister Amatullah, you were going to say.
No, I was saying I think that's Amatullah Umrani. I recognize her voice, but her
Yeah.
sound was going in and out. So I'm not sure everyone got everything she said towards the end. As far as name something for which you're most grateful. Brother Ismail, he's not able to talk right now, Cheryl.
Yeah. So, Brother Michael, what you got for us? Mr. Hameen, I know you always have something. So, what do you have for us?
You have to unmute yourself, Brother Michael. Maybe, there we go.
There he is.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Um, okay. Characteristics. Let's see the question. Three
Three
positive
positive characteristics you possess.
characteristics. Um, One is I have a curiosity about people and how we interact with one another. Second, uh, I'm pretty patient. I think my patience is pretty strong. characteristic. And the third, my gratitude, and looking for incremental uh, reasons and circumstances to be grateful. Is that three?
Yeah.
Okay, now what the third?
Three
Three
things that you are proud of about yourself.
about myself. Um, that I have a relationship with the Creator, a trusting relationship with the Creator. That He's been involved in my life, and He continues. I continue to see that He's in my life, and my acknowledgement of that. Um, I I'm a listener. I appreciate the fact that I'm a listener, and I have a concern for other human beings. Something that I'm most grateful for, again, I'm most grateful for being chosen to express my faith as a Muslim follower of Prophet Muhammad, prayers and peace be upon him, and following the guidance that he brought. Thank you.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you. Sister Joey, and then we'll go to Sister Martha. Sister Joey, Miss Joey, what you have for us? The questions are in the chat.
Yes, I see them in the chat, and I process. But for question A, I believe my ability to be a friend is a positive characteristic. My willingness to meet people where they are, and my discernment. Question B. I don't normally think about proud, and that's why it took me a minute, but that I have good relationships with my mother and all of my siblings. That I have been a home mortgager for nearly 21 years on a single income.
Nice.
That I've progressed from one of the lowest acknowledged jobs at East Bay Mud to earning my retirement and being elected to one of the highest positions at the place. It took over 30 years, but I believe that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with others.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't have made it without other people.
Absolutely. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. And the gratitude, I'm alive. My life is better than it could be. And when I say that, it's because I've been in situations that are not as good as now. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Sister Martha, there's 3 questions in the chat. If you can't see them, we can read them for you, but 3 questions.
Yes, I can't see them.
Okay.
3 positive characteristics you possess, Sister Martha. 3 positive characteristics you possess.
Okay. The 3 positive characteristics that I possess: patience, caring, and I guess one what you call it? Self-critiquing. I call it a positive.
Okay. That's
Okay.
good. Now, 3 things that you are proud of about yourself.
Family oriented, not money hungry, not overtly money hungry, and with the patience part, uh, able to maintain with what I need versus what I want.
Okay. Name something for which you are most grateful.
Name something I'm most
Grateful for.
grateful for. Oh, to have a connection with the creator, to really know and for my world of thought, the true creator. God, no, to not have any image in my mind and not to have any kind of reservoir of thought that says that I'm obligated to a fictitious God. I mean, that goes deep. I'm really grateful for that. You said one thing, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Name
it's
something.
good.
Oh, yeah, but you can
Something. I mean, if you have another one, you can say it.
Something. Okay, yes. That's that. Yeah, and to have the love of family. I'm grateful for that.
Great. Thank you. All right, you
Thank you.
two. All right, you two. Brother Fleming, Sister Amatullah. Brother Fleming, why don't you go? You're on mute, and I'm sure it's fabulous. You're just giving us a whole professorial lesson.
Listen, assalamu alaikum. I'm grateful for being back in my house
Alaikum
playing off the
assalam.
highway. Let's start there. But let me, the little things make the big difference. But in terms of just personal characteristics, I think I listen well. I think I'm solution oriented, and I'm really sensitive to community concerns. If I had to evaluate three,
things that
what
you
was
are
the
proud
second one?
of about yourself.
That
Three
three
things
things I'm
that you
proud
are
of about
proud of
myself.
about yourself.
Okay. Well, I've been into the living room 6 times with my wife, for the birth of our children. So I'm very proud that I was able to be there with her to see life come into existence. I'm proud that we were able to hold on to each other for 51 years and counting. Very proud of that. That was a monumental working achievement. And I'm really proud that I was able to really fit in when my older brother passed and sort of step in as a father figure for his children. And so I'm very proud of that situation. And finally, in terms of just gratitude, I have to really lift up my grandfather first because he was my first hero outside my mother and father, who really brought me up in the environment of a grocery store that he owned and taught me fundamental business ethics. Uh, and then because of that foundation, I was grateful to meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in his home and to also be influenced by him. And of course, to access me to that same home at 847 Woodlawn, Imam Bartholin Muhammad before I left Chicago to come back in different parts of the country. And by all means, for number four, to just want to be a believer in this environment in 2025, just to have that disposition is a tremendous thing that I'm very, very grateful for.
Thank you. That's great. Glad I don't have to go next, Sister Amatullah.
Oh boy. Three positive characteristics you possess. Now, I think they're positive. Other people may not think they're positive, right? That's what that we're doing a kind of a self-reflection thing. Well, I think I'm a pretty good listener also. Well, I try to be an active listener, as they describe it.
Yes.
And I think that I give people a sense of those that know me that they can count on me to try and help any way that I can if they, come to me for any kind of assistance. Um, and I think my ability to empathize with others would be the third characteristic.
Mm.
Three things that you are proud of about yourself. Sheesh. Hmm. That that I have a thirst for knowledge. that I try to grab a hold to that which will advance me spiritually and mentally and even physically. And that you're proud of about yourself. Proud that I am committed to my family. Trying to keep this, yeah, trying to keep the family together, inshallah. There's sometimes when you're like, oh, I'm out of here, but got to keep the family together. Name something for which you are most grateful. Allah's mercy and His guidance and His reminding me sometime to be grateful. And when I say reminding me, I mean put it in my consciousness. I might, feel grateful about something, but to acknowledge to Allah, oh Allah, thank you for that. Um, so that degree of consciousness that I've recently tried to focus on more.
Thank you. And thank all of you for indulging me on this one. Um, I think that we spend so much time um, complaining or not being happy that every once in a while we need to take some time to look inward and to say there are some good things going on, even if it's only with you. Introspection is the word I came up with, Miss Marta, when you say you look at yourself. Um, I, introspection is a good thing. So for me, today's what this exercise was for. If you don't do affirmations, I would say try them. Make you feel better in a world where everyone is beating you down. If you can affirm your own sense of self and your own power. So for me, my resilience, nothing gets me down. I'm fearless and I'm courageous. Uh, And I'm most proud of not being afraid to take a chance. I don't say bet on myself, but I do take a flyer on myself. But my biggest is my children. I love the way that they have grown and they have become these magnificent human beings. And being able to want that uh, as a young parent and then being able to see it come through is something I'm very, very proud of. Uh, and I'm proud that nothing keeps me down. Nothing keeps me down. I can find something good out of everything that's even when it's rotten. What I'm most grateful for, I'm gonna do this a little bit different. So I want you all to listen. But first I have to sneeze. So hold up.
Alhamdulillah.
I've been sneezing through this whole broadcast. So sometimes you can't hold it in. So my gratitude to take us out is this. Thank you, Miss Joey. Appreciate it. Yamkala. Is I'm thankful for some things that we don't even think about sometimes that we should be grateful for. And I'm grateful for mi abuela and my mom, the wisdom of my grandmother and my mom, my hijos, my children, my trio, my circle, my intellect, and every privilege that I hold. Everything I've earned, whether it's education or work or other things, but mostly I'm grateful for my utility bills. I know that's a strange one. Most people don't understand it. But I'm grateful for my utility bills because, yes, that electric bill is high, but it means that I'm warm or I'm cool. I'm grateful for the clothes that may fit a little snug sometimes because it means I've had enough to eat. I'm grateful for paying taxes. I know that one throws people for a loop because it means I'm employed. And I'm grateful for a lawn that needs watering and mowing, floors that need mopping, windows that need cleaning, and things that need fixing because it means I have a home. Not everybody has, a lot of people can have a house, but not everyone has a home. And I'm grateful for my weary body after physical therapy, after walking around or doing exercise all day, because it means that I've been positively productive. I'm grateful that I'm grateful of my shadow because it means I'm outside. And I'm grateful that that alarm that goes off in the wee early hours of the morning for morning prayer and then again to get up and go to work because it means that I'm alive. I want you to take gratitude from that aspect. Every heartbreak, every transition, every scar, every lesson learned, and every day, in every moment. Be grateful for divine intervention. Be grateful for divine understanding. Be grateful for divine mercy. And I'm most grateful that I understand that it's not about me. It's full of, and before I take you out of here with one of my gratefulness, my grandmother's words, I want to hear what's happening next week, Brother Fleming. You're on mute, sir.
We're going to look more carefully at this almost 900-page document called the 10-year budget that was just passed by Congress and break it down in pieces so people can understand it, inshallah. So I have two other people coming on with me, the budget and tax saint from North Carolina and Democracy North Carolina advocate who's really been looking at this thing critically, inshallah. That's what's up for next week, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. And then Sister Amatullah, what's coming up in coming weeks with you?
I think I'm going to dig in a little deeper to the work that Francesca Albanese has done with the report. Her economic genocide report, but also there was a report by the youth Palestinian movement talking about corporations profiting off of primarily shipping, like Maersk, the whole supply chain for military arms, as well as another area of interest I have is Trump's intervention in Congo and the so-called ceasefire or treaty that they established in Congo. Those are two things that have been ruminating in my brain. But I would like to, when you were talking about the duck people, during the week I come across Daily Sunnah is a list that I subscribe to, and so they send you these little chunks from the Prophet's life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is, peace be upon him. And this one was The Bird That Stopped an Army, which was a very interesting read. And Imam Ibn Qayyim, he had a saying of the one who shows compassion to all of creation draws close to the Creator. So when you talked about the ducks, that reminded me about that. Um, and in I have the link in the chat for people to go and read the story. There's two parts to it. One is about a bird um, who flew over the army that was going to battle and was fluttering his wings. And the prophet said, "Who's upset this bird?" This is condensed version. And one of the companions admitted that he had taken two eggs out of the bird's nest, and the prophet told him, "Go give that bird back up her eggs." And then the second part of it was about the prophet came across a camel who was emaciated. You could see his bones. And the prophet went up to the camel and tried to comfort the camel and talked about, the one who neglects creatures, how uh, really they're neglectful of Allah's creation and just reminding us of our obligation to all of creation. So
Love it.
you prompt that reminder in me.
Love it. So we have some informative and good shows coming up. And in this time of mental health awareness, I just invite you to take care of yourselves. Every once in a while, look in the mirror and say, not only are you enough, you're pretty doggone good. You look good, you feel good, and you're doing good. Just tell yourself those things. And the world is going to beat you down. Like my grandmother used to tell us, the world's going to beat you down enough. There's no need of you jumping in and bashing on yourself, knocking yourself upside the head. Exactly. Punch on the bag. Don't punch on yourself. And sometimes don't punch on yourself in little ways. And in the coming weeks, as we head back to school, I am going to bring to our forum just how words have power and meaning and influence, even the words you say to yourself. I started off telling you guys about the Americans with Disabilities Act, the 30th anniversary. It will be July 26th, and that July is Disability Pride Month. All of us know someone, an individual with a disability. It's the largest demographic that's not race-related in the United States, in the world, actually. And through the ADA, there's a prohibition of discrimination against people with disabilities in all areas of their public life, whether it's employment or education, transportation, public accommodations, or communications, or access to services, whether those are government programs at the state level, the local level, the federal level. So make sure that you reach out and you acknowledge family, friends, colleagues, even a stranger with a disability, and tell them you see them. I see you and I hear you. And not all disabilities are visible. There's many that are invisible. Sir, Fleming.
Just very quickly, on July 17th, there's a national celebration of John Lewis's legacy. The voting rights bill is still being held up in Congress. We've been trying to get it passed for some time now. But there are various activities around the country. You might find it on your website in your local communities. But get engaged if you can in that process. We've still got to be vigilant. We've still got to be vigilant. So let's honor the sacrifices he made, former Congressman John Lewis, inshallah. Thank you.
That's a great reminder. And he's also to tag off of that. Anytime in the next couple of months, going to let you guys know people are going to start announcing that they're running for office 2026, likely by, September, October, no later than December. We will try and bring you as much information as possible in this forum. It's one of the things we do to get you politically engaged, but also politically astute.
Yes.
If there's information you need, reach out. Brother Fleming, you want to drop the line for ACGG?
Yes, the American Coalition for Good Government, your organization. to keep you informed, to keep you engaged on matters that are important to your community and the world at large. So join us,
Thank you.
www.americancoalitionforgoodgovernment.org. I say again, www.americancoalitionforgoodgovernment, all runs together.org. We invite you to join us anytime, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Love it. Thank you. We can throw it in the chat. And then the last announcement I'm going to ask Sister Amatullah to make is about, I know you and Brother Fleming both been working hard on this, the 50th anniversary program.
Brother Fleming, you want to go ahead?
Okay, in Philadelphia, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, there will be a celebration, a legacy of the contributions of our esteemed Imam Warthuddin Muhammad. It is a national effort, yet there are also going to be celebrations around the country. But this one is sort of focused on the national effort. We invite you to join the effort. I think on the very first night, Sister Layla Muhammad will be showing Happy Feet and having some treats for the participants and having a friendly conversation about her family, the personal life of Imam Warthuddin Muhammad. And then the following day, there's going to be 3 different presentations based on decades of service from 1975 to 1985. That one I'm chairing. Then from 1985 to 1995, and then from 1995 to 2008. And then later on that evening, they're going to do from 2008 into the future for a younger group of young leaders, basically. There's also going to be a culture night with a lot of spoken word activities. And I would say young beats to the young generation to do a young thing, get off your feet and dance a little bit. So that's to sort of get everybody engaged. And then there's the interfaith and intrafaith program on that Sunday. So it should be a time for us to communicate with each other and appreciate each other, celebrate each other, and have a chance to love each other once again. Philadelphia, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Go to Muslim Journal if you can and register to participate, inshallah. Thank you very much.
And also in the chat, Brother Fleming, under the link for American Coalition for Good Government, I put in the page where you can go in and get information on the IWDM 50 event.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And now I tell you this. We hope you have a wonderful Monday, wonderful week. Be powerful, be prayerful, be philanthropic, and be engaged, positively engaged, and purposefully engaged in your community. Do something for someone without the expectation of anything in return. No limelight, spotlight, no award. Don't put it on social media. Try and not even tell anybody that you did it. And when you do that, in my grandmother's words, you will not only will you have a joy that's inexplicable, but I have it on my board here at work. And I said this, and somebody said, "What is that? How are you doing today?" I said, "I am high moon happy." And they said, "What does that mean?" I said, "It's something my grandmother used to say." So
High moon happy.
I am high moon happy. And so I want you to practice some self-reflection and some gratitude. Because when you change what you want, you'll change how you act. And when you change the way you look at things, whether it's the world, whether it's yourself, the things you look at will also change. The last thing I say to you is, my grandmother used to tell us, don't just be grateful for the things that you want that you have. Be also grateful for the things that you don't want that you don't have. And with that, we bid you adieu, because that's
All right.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
All right.
Everyone.
Walaikum assalam.
Have a good week, inshallah.
Inshallah. Peace to everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.